They came within seconds of disaster. 3 Venezuelan warships closed in on the world's most advanced U.S. aircraft carrier. So close that sailors could see each other's faces. No shots fired. No warnings given. Just steel, silence, and a collision course that could have changed everything. This is the moment when political messages turned into military risk. November 2nd, 2025, 6:14 a.m. 3 Venezuelan patrol ships carve north through open water, their wakes slicing bright white scars across the dawn. They're aimed straight at a moving wall of gray steel, the USS Gerald R. Ford and her carrier strike group. For the U.S. Navy, this isn't tension. It's transit, and it's an opportunity. Inside Venezuela's Naval Command Center, one clipped order echoes through the speakers. Close distance. Show the flag. Minutes later, Guaycari-class ships CG-23, CG-24, and CG-25 surge past 28 knots. From above, their formation looks surgical, a shallow spear driving directly toward the Ford's track line. This isn't an escort, it's a message. On the Ford's bridge, the first officer steps toward the glass. Through the pink haze of morning, 3 faint silhouettes rise from the horizon. Small compared to the 1,000-foot carrier, yet closing fast. Around him, sailors move with trained precision, faces calm, eyes sharp. Just 24 hours earlier, Venezuela scrapped a multi-billion-dollar energy deal with Trinidad and Tobago, blaming U.S. interference. Now their navy seems intent on underlining that accusation, literally in steel. The Ford holds course, engine steady, bow cutting the sea with unstoppable confidence. Every mile forward drags both sides closer to a decision neither truly wants to make. Venezuela wants to be seen. The United States refuses to look away. And somewhere between those two truths sits the knife edge where political messaging turns into military risk. To understand what's coming, you need to understand the storm that built behind it. 6:18 a.m. The Venezuelan patrol ships fan out across the Caribbean like blades, each hull carving its own white line through open water. Their formation isn't random, it's deliberate geometry. A half-moon arc designed to squeeze the carrier group from the south. Aboard the Gerald R. Ford, every station is awake now. Bridge windows catch first light. The sea below flashes gold. In the Combat Direction Center, surface tracks bloom across digital maps. Red icons charging in at 28 knots. But this isn't a radar problem. It's an intent problem. The USS Gravely, one of the Ford's escorts, surges forward to take point. Turbines spool to life, white water boiling behind her. Her mission is simple. Shield the carrier, keep things lawful, keep things calm. Contact steady, the surface watch officer calls out. Bearing 190, range 8.4 nautical miles. Copy, the captain replies. Maintain intercept posture. Eyes on. On the Ford's flight deck, sailors pause mid-task as the Venezuelan hulls grow larger by the minute. Through binoculars, flags snap in the wind, red, yellow, blue, and the dark shapes of 76mm guns glint under the rising sun. No one on the American side wants escalation, but they know exactly what game is being played. Venezuela calls this stretch of ocean the Bolivarian Security Zone, a boundary only they recognize. Crossing it means confrontation, even if the map says otherwise. Radio operators transmit the standard hail, English and Spanish. Venezuelan naval vessels, this is a United States warship operating in international waters. Maintain a safe distance. Silence. Only the low thrum of engines. 6:22 a.m. From the Gravely's bridge, the officer of the deck studies the horizon. 3 wakes converge. Unwavering, bearings constant. That's not chance. That's choreography. Contacts holding speed. Combat watch reports. CPA under 6 nautical miles. The captain nods. Understood. Log everything. Inside the CIC, screens flip between daylight feeds and infrared from the Ford Seahawk helicopter, now lifting off for aerial overwatch. At 600 feet, its thermal sensors track the Venezuelan formation, bright signatures cutting toward the carrier. 6:25 a.m. Aboard the Ford, the command voice rolls across the intercom. All stations, Condition 3. Maintain readiness. Deck crews move with controlled rhythm. No panic, no shouting. At sea, proximity is its own threat. A handshake made of steel. The Venezuelan lead ship shifts 2 degrees starboard, aligning perfectly across the Ford's projected course. From above, it looks like an intersection waiting to happen. In under 2 minutes, they'll penetrate the carrier's safety bubble. 6:27 a.m. CG-23 breaks formation first, sliding ahead like a shark through glassy water. Its bow points directly at the carrier's flank. The other 2 vessels trail evenly on port and starboard, forming a wedge. On the Gravely, officers watch every movement in real time. No doubt now this is deliberate pressure. CIC tracks every bearing change. Lead contact closing fast. Range 5.1 nautical miles. The watch officer reports. Copy. Maintain course. The captain says. We're not the ones flinching today. Above, the Seahawk banks low. A visual warning without a weapon raised. Then the radio crackles for the first time. United States warship, you are entering the Bolivarian security zone. Alter course immediately. The American response is calm, measured, bilingual. Negative. Operating lawfully in international waters. Recommend you maintain safe separation. Static. Then silence. 6:29 a.m. The Ford holds her course, 20 knots, heading 217. The destroyer tracks parallel less than 2,000 yards off her beam. Between them, the ocean churns like a conveyor belt of tension. On the Ford's deck, flight ops freeze. Catapults go cold. Crew members stand locked in place, helmets still in hand. A billion-dollar carrier strike group is now locked in a silent face-off with 3 ships worth less than a single F/A-18. Inside the destroyer, steel trembles under shifting torque. Contact inside 1,000 yards, someone shouts. The captain grips the railing, eyes fixed dead ahead. Helm, come right 5 degrees. Put our nose between him and the carrier. For 5 breathless seconds, the 2 warships plow through white water side by side, close enough that sailors on either deck can see faces, cameras, and the glint of morning sun on steel. Then the Venezuelan vessel blinks first. Engines spool down. Its bow dips, sliding off the collision line. 6:35 a.m. The Gravely steadies her course. The Ford's flight deck stirs back to life. Cat crews unfreeze. And still, the radio remains silent. 2 nations just came within seconds of disaster. And not a single shot was fired. But every sailor on both bridges understands the truth. Next time, one wrong maneuver could redefine freedom of navigation. 6:36 a.m. The sea falls silent. Engines idle low, exhaust twisting off steel decks like smoke from a shot that never came. Both formations, American and Venezuelan, drift in a fragile equilibrium, neither advancing nor retreating. On the Gerald R. Ford, the stillness feels heavier than noise. Moments ago, the flight deck roared with turbine heat. Now it sits frozen. Crews grip helmets, eyes locked on the southern horizon where 3 smaller silhouettes hold their ground. Inside the Gravely's Combat Information Center, tension hums like a live wire. Contact steady, the Surface Watch officer reports. Range holding at 2.4 nautical miles. The captain nods. Copy. Maintain posture. Cameras rolling. From 800 feet up, the Seahawk holds a tight orbit, circling the standoff. Its camera captures everything. Heat blooms, wakes, bearing lines. The feed streams live to the Ford's Combat Direction Center, already queued for the Pentagon's morning brief. Then, through the static of Channel 16, a voice cuts through. United States warship, you are warned. You have entered restricted waters. The captain answers with steady, practiced calm. Negative. Operating lawfully in international waters. Recommend you maintain safe separation. No heat, no retaliation, just presence. The Venezuelan lead ship responds not with words, but motion. Its rudder ticks starboard, edging across the destroyer's bow again. a gesture suspended somewhere between defiance and withdrawal. The other two vessels mirror it, drifting into a loose, tentative formation that slowly begins sliding south. Bridge CIC. Contacts turning away. The tactical watch officer reports. The captain exhales. Hold course. Do not pursue. 6:39 a.m. The Gravely's turbines settle back into their cruise hum. On board, sailors release slow, quiet breaths they didn't realize they were holding. The sound of the sea returns. Steady, familiar, almost soft. On the Ford's bridge, the strike group commander watches the live Seahawk feed. The three Venezuelan hulls shrink toward the horizon, their wakes crossing like fading scars in the water. They're disengaging, the operations officer says. Good, the commander replies. Let's keep it that way. Above, the Seahawk banks north for recovery. His camera lingers on the retreating formation one final moment before the feed goes dark. 6:42 a.m. From the Ford's deck, the last Venezuelan ship finally dips below the horizon. The ocean looks peaceful again, but everyone knows peace isn't the same as calm. On the Gravely, the captain steps onto the bridge wing, morning wind cutting across his face. He says it quietly, mostly to himself. Freedom of navigation affirmed. There's no cheering, no celebration, just sailors staring out at the empty sea. Steady, silent, knowing they haven't won anything. They've simply avoided everything. 9:40 a.m. 3 hours later, the southern Caribbean is already boiling with heat. The USS Gerald R. Ford pushes north, formation back in perfect geometry. Flight deck alive again with jets and deck crews. But inside the carrier's Combat Direction Center, no one is calling this morning routine. On one of the primary displays, Seahawk footage still loops. 3 Venezuelan patrol ships cutting dangerously close, the Gravely refusing to yield. Every frame logged, time-stamped, encrypted. That footage is already in Norfolk, already in Washington. Across the sea, Venezuela moves faster. Within an hour, state broadcaster VTV airs shaky cell phone video from CG-23 Guaycari. Grainy images of the confrontation. The anchor calls it a bold defense of Bolivarian sovereignty. Caracas announces that its Navy forced a U.S. carrier group to change course inside Venezuelan waters. The truth: the carrier never shifted a single degree. But perception outruns reality. At the Pentagon, the press office releases a one-line statement. The USS Gerald R. Ford strike group conducted routine operations in international waters, consistent with international law. No drama, no escalation. Classic Navy. Facts delivered ice cold. But behind that sentence is a message made of steel. For defense analysts, today's encounter isn't an outlier. It's the newest line in a growing ledger of gray zone confrontations, designed not to start wars, but to spark headlines. Venezuela's Guaycari-class ships were never going to fire on a U.S. carrier. That was never the mission. The goal was visibility, defiance on camera, fuel for a domestic narrative that Caracas still controls its seas. Meanwhile, the Ford's presence was its own message. A $13 billion reminder of reach, backed by destroyers that can intercept a missile before it leaves the stratosphere. It doesn't need to threaten. The shadow does it for it. By noon, satellites show the Venezuelan patrols returning toward La Guaira. On board the Ford, the logbook closes the event with a simple line. No aggression observed. Mission ongoing. And yet every sailor knows this wasn't nothing. It was choreography. Precise, rehearsed, and one heartbeat from chaos. The sea may look calm again, but something shifted beneath the surface. Venezuela showed it could act bold. The United States showed it wouldn't blink. And the world just witnessed, in crystal clarity, what modern deterrence looks like, restraint at 20 knots. 6 p.m.